Hi everyone, welcome to the last day of Vlogmas. So today for Vlogmas, the final day, we're going to talk about my books that I've read in December, part 1. I didn't really want to do a mid-month wrap-up as I wasn't sure how much I would be reading towards the end of the month, and I have been doing pretty well. I am aiming to finish off 300 total books for the end of the month, or for the end of the year, I should say. Not end of the month, that'd be nuts. But what I'm trying to do is like 300 total books for the year. So in order to complete that, I need to have read 26 books in this month. So I'm going to try talking about 10 books in this wrap up, and hopefully that will help, or maybe 13, however many I get to. Anyways, let's get into the books I'm going to wrap up right now. So some of these books do have their own dedicated reviews. I did talk about them in some vlogs, whatever they are, and I will direct you to them, but I will also give a wrap up in this video as well. So just so you know. So let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the worst thing for me to hold right now, and that is Cards on the Table. This is by Agatha Christie, but it's adapted by Frank Leclercq. I'm gonna butcher that. Anyways, this is a graphic novel of Cards on the Table. I read it for our Christie's Missing Readathon, and it was a lot of fun to add this to my TBR. I didn't know my library had this until I was looking online and found this. So I didn't love the art in this, and I gave it 4 stars as a total. Cards on the Table gets a 5-star for me as a storyline, but as a whole, the book gets a 4. So the art is kind of, I don't know, grayish and mediocre. I will try to show you this. I did talk about this fully in my vlog for the Christie's Missing Readathon. I vlogged the 11 days. So this is what the art style looks like. That's no spoilers yet on that page. But overall, I did enjoy reading Cards on the Table again. I think it did a great job portraying the story. The story of Cards on the Table, in case you're wondering, is where 4 people are invited to, well, 8 people technically are invited for dinner at this one man's house. I can't remember his name right now. I'm sorry. But 8 people are invited, 4 of whom are detectives, and of which there is Superintendent Battle, Colonel Race, Ariadne Oliver, and Hercule Poirot. The other 4 people are people who have been suspected of murder, and they are all playing bridge, the 4 people who have been suspected of murder. During the evening, one of them kills the host, and then the other 4 detectives have to figure out which of the 4 murderers is actually the murderer of the host. That is the setup of Cards on the Table, and this was fun to read and have a refresher on how the story actually goes, because I remember most of the details, but it was fun to read again. Another Agatha Christie experience, I guess I should say, was The Mousetrap. I watched this play and I really enjoyed it. I found it to be really fun and engaging. I didn't know who had done it or what the big reveal was or anything, so I walked in really blind to it and I loved it. I thought it was really engaging and really fun. I did find out or figure out a few things first, I should say, but I thought it was really fun and really engaging, and I enjoyed watching it as opposed to just reading the play. I highly recommend watching The Mousetrap. I found it on YouTube if you want to watch that. Find that out. I put the link of it in my Christie's Missing Readathon vlog if you want to check that out. But I enjoyed watching the play. I should tell you what it's about. The play is about several guests who are coming to a hotel to spend the night, and there's a giant snowstorm, and the hotel is very new, and so obviously they're all stuck there when a policeman arrives to tell them that there is a murderer among them, and what is going to happen. They all have to try and stay alive until they can get out. It's really fun. Let's just get the Agatha Christie out of the way, and then you'll know that I'm on to something else. I also read the Sittaford Mystery. This is another snowstorm book. I ended up reading a lot of snowstorm weather books. And this one is the Sittaford Mystery, as I said. This one follows a group of people who are performing a seance when they find out that the seance tells them, I guess, that their friend has died. And so one of the men goes down to find out if their friend is okay. It takes them several hours to get there. And when he gets there, he finds their friend dead. Of course, this is a big confusion. They need to try and find out who did it and if the spirits actually told them correctly. It is a big mystery. It's an independent novel, and I really loved all out of it. Also, just so you know, I did do an individual review, not just the vlog of this one and The Mousetrap and my next one that I'm going to talk about. as an Agatha Christie review without spoilers and with spoilers in case you want to get the spoilers of these ones as well. So the next one, which I will just tell you now, was Hercule Poirot's Christmas. This one was really fun as well. It had more snow. It was really great. This one follows a family where they are very tumultuous. They have tons of bad relationships. It is very, very tense, shall we say. And then one day right before Christmas, this book is also told by like days of the Christmas holiday essentially, so it's not told in chapters, but the day before Christmas or 2 days before Christmas, their grandfather, he gets cut open and he gets attacked and there's blood everywhere and they have to try and figure out who done it, but of course Hercule Poirot is on the scene, as it's Hercule Poirot's Christmas. It is really fun and I really enjoyed reading this. I was rereading it and I remembered some details, but I didn't remember all of the details. I didn't remember who did it. So I enjoyed learning that out again, but I remember knowing some elements. So I liked that part too. So really great book I remembered and I really enjoyed this one. So all of those three are in my individual Agatha Christie review, which I will link below as well, so you don't have to go through my entire vlog to find out what I thought about those. Another book that has an individual review is Mistborn. I read Mistborn. I finally did it. I read a Brandon Sanderson, and I mean, I posted this video like yesterday or 2 days ago, but this one was so good, and I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. 5 stars. Perfection. This one was so good. I loved the elements. I loved everything about this one. This one follows society after thousands of years or 1,000 years after they had this big war and the bad guy won. It has a heist and it has these group of people, this crew trying to take down the bad guy, the ruler, and they have a 16-year-old girl who joins their crew and she doesn't really know what's going on, but she has this luck element about herself and she is trying to figure out what's going on. I really enjoyed this. I didn't know anything else going in. All I knew was a heist and the bad guy won before this book started. And I wanted to know what this book was about. And I'm glad I didn't know anything else. Recommend. Highly recommend if you have never read Mistborn. But I'm sure you already have because I feel like I'm the last person on earth who hasn't read it. But so good. So good. I can't wait to read book 2. An arc that I got and I never read in time. I meant to totally, but I just forgot, is Lights Out by Natalie Walters. This one is about a CIA agent who, her name's Bryn, who loses an agent of hers, or he goes MIA, he goes missing in action basically. He walks out and they never see him. So then she has to try and follow him, and the problem is that he has connections to terrorist groups. And so she is trying to find him and see if he's actually like switching sides or if he's a double agent, what's going on. And then she is ending up working with a team called Snap, which is where, unfortunately, her ex-boyfriend is working. So it's a big mess for her emotionally, but she has to put that aside to work with them. And Jack, who is her ex-boyfriend, is the leader of the team. And he is putting a lot of his emotions into this because he doesn't trust her anymore based on their past history. And they have to trust each other a lot, I shall say. This book follows a lot of different side people, but I really enjoyed that because you got to see how these little people who aren't the big top dogs really aren't in there because they want to be. And I really enjoyed how they followed these different clues and these different paths to find what's going on. So Bryn is trying to figure out how they get there, how to solve the problem, and what the pieces are that are linking them together. You also get to see Jack's team, which I really enjoyed. They all had such interesting personalities, and I am excited to read book 2, which comes out in a couple months. I think it comes out in May, actually, so I'm excited to read book 2 as it follows the Hawaiian on the team, as he was such a funny guy. I loved him. But yes, this one is really interesting, and it follows that top secret agency kind of style thing, but at the same time, it really is also high action, and Bryn doesn't carry a gun. So it's also like her being a really gutsy self-defense person, but at the same time, you're like, you don't carry a gun. I also really enjoyed the struggles they went through as personal growth, and also as they are working together as a team, and also as they are working in a bigger group of people. So not just Jack and Bryn, but Jack and Bryn with everyone else. So I really enjoyed this whole thing. And I gave it 4 stars. Really highly recommend in case you are wondering about this, and I've enjoyed every other book that Natalie Walters has written, and I highly recommend her. One more book that has an individual review is Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. I thoroughly loved the different characters. I'm not so much of a character-driven story, so I think that's kind of what brought it down for me, but I really enjoyed the different elements of Pip and his growth. I really loved the different thought-provoking parts of this, and I, like I said, made a whole video about this as part of my Timeless Tomes project I do every couple months, or more than every couple months, depending on how many big classics I read. So I did my full review there, but I will tell you a little bit about it right now in case you've never heard. I didn't know myself going into it. So Great Expectations is about Pip, who is growing up from being a youngish boy, or maybe young teen, we could call him, to growing up to be a man. And this follows him from being a young child-ish to being a man. And that's kind of what this book is about. It just follows him, and he meets several people along the way. And this book is also about the women in his life, particularly Estella, and how he interacts with her, and Miss Havisham, who is Estella's guardian, but also how Pip grows and how he works and how he lives his life. That's kind of the whole thing of the book, but I really enjoyed it. It had a mystery element, and it had just a wholesome thing. It was Victorian in its perfectionist way. It is a Victorian novel, but I highly recommend checking this one out. If you've never read a Victorian novel, I think this one might be a great one to go to. I think it kind of is scary when it's Charles Dickens, but this one doesn't have like that downtrodden aspect. I think it's really great. I also picked up the graphic novel of The Magic Tree House. I didn't know this was a graphic novel until I went to my library and looked up graphic novels, because I like doing that. And this one is Dinosaurs Before Dark, the first book in the graphic novel series. Did you know this was a thing? I didn't. But they apparently have 2 books out in this graphic novel series, so I will be doing that. I really enjoy these series. So I did this, and it's really colorful. So that's Jack and Annie in the treehouse that they discovered. And I liked seeing this as like a, I don't know, it's so real in this way. And I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. I thought this was a really cool way to read about Jack and Annie. I almost gave it a 5-star, to be honest. I was debating between a 4 and a 5-star when I rated this, and the first book didn't get a 5-star. It was just kind of better in that way. I think this one is really great. It follows Jack and Annie as they discover the magic treehouse, and when they discover how they can open up books and go to different places in them. So thought this one was really fun and a great graphic novel, middle grade graphic novel if you want to check it out. So the next one I want to talk about, it will be an ebook, and this one was The Christmas Bargain, and this one is by Shanna Hatfield. So I read this one at the very beginning of the month, and I might be a little fuzzy on the details, so I'm sorry. But this one is about Luke, who is a banker, and basically he goes to Philomena's father, and she's like 27. I remember that, like she was older, which was great to see in a book, not like a really young heroine. So her father has ranked up quite a lot of debt at the bank, and Luke says that he has to pay up. And so Philomena's dad says, you can take her, or I'm gonna go and sell her, and then I'll give you the money. And so he takes Philomena basically to save her, and then in order to not be a bad thing, they get married, and it's a very cute Christmas romance. I really enjoyed it. It's kind of a thing where Luke didn't want to get married, but Philomena was like, I do not like men, I don't trust them, because her father was very abusive. That is touched on in the book. I thought it was well handled in the book, and I enjoyed the different aspects of their relationship, and you could really see Philomena growing out of her shattered shell, essentially. And I think it was really nice to see this different personality of her. You could tell that the abused woman coming out of that. And I thought that you could see the different characters, and I really liked the writing. I felt like it was all handled nicely with timeline. Another thing about it too is that I enjoyed how, because sometimes these feel like they are, well, so there's a fake dating trope almost in it, or fake marriage approach. But at the same time, it didn't feel like they were forced into this fake aspect, and they were going in with their eyes wide open. So I really appreciated all of those elements, and I really enjoyed what I was reading. I've also read Knit 1, Kill 2 by Maggie Sefton, I believe is her last name. And this is for my second chance author, essentially. I tried to read another book by this author. I think it was Close Knit Killer. And this is a book series about a knitting shop, or all these things happen around a knitting shop, I guess. I don't know. But the first book in the series is what I picked up, and I didn't like it. I was like, this book is not for me. It was just like a 2-star. It was just not good. And I finished it only because, one, I wanted to finish it for my TBR Clue game, and 2, because I needed to finish it for my own readathon, which is the Christie's Missing Readathon. So there's that. But this one, it was really short, and that was helpful for myself. But what it is about is this woman, and I cannot remember her name because it was that forgettable. But she goes to this town because her grandmother, I think it was grandmother, passed away, and so she wants to go and help take care of all the things, but she finds out that she can't actually sell the house due to lots of crazy stuff. And so she ends up having to try to solve this murder that looks like the police aren't doing anything about. And I'm just like, okay, that sounds great. Sounds great. But the problem for me was that this book was a lot more about knitting patterns and how to make a scarf and how to do different things that are crafty. And I'm like, those are all wonderful things. I have no problem with those kind of things. I enjoy crafting myself, but I don't want to read about that when it's like always in that problem of a mystery. I was hoping for more, and I have read other like cozy mysteries that were involved in crafting, but they weren't like this. So 2 stars, definitely not this book series for me, definitely not this kind of style, and I will not be picking up any more from that series. Another one I want to talk about and then get rid of off my mind is On His Bended Knee, and I don't remember the author's name right now, but that's okay, I'll put the picture up here. This one, it was really fast, which is a good thing, but the problem for me was that it was like too fast. Because, okay, if you are new to my channel and you don't know my reading taste yet, this is something where I do not love fast romances. So the instant love is something I hate in books, especially when it's like, you know, you met 2 days ago and now you're in love. Like, that's not cool in my books. So this is where that kind of fell in love kind of thing happened, where these 2 characters, one who's a vet and one who is a veterinarian, like a war vet and a veterinarian, or a veterinary assistant, whatever, they have to get married because they have to get married to fall, like to save the ranch so all people can live on the ranch, essentially, which I don't think makes any legal sense at all. And so they get married, and then they're like instantly in love a week later. I didn't get that. It didn't make any sense, but it was fast and easy to read. So I owned 2 more books from that series. I'll probably read them because I owned them, but I don't have any desire to right now. So we'll see if I ever do. But I think I gave it a 3-star because it was okay. There were some good moments. I enjoyed the talk about PTSD and talk about physical wounds from war. It had a lot of good discussion about those kind of things, which I enjoyed, and I really appreciated that discussion, but at the same time, I really didn't love the romance element which was involved. So whatever that is, I know the next book is about a character who has shrapnel near his heart, so he doesn't want to get in a relationship in case he dies suddenly. So that's an interesting part that I might be wanting to check out, but I don't know. So that's kind of it. And then the next thing that I read, which I also just want to talk about and not talk about again, is Make Believe Fiance, which I also don't remember the author's name. Sorry. This book was not fun. This was another 2-star. And I read it also for my Christie's Missing Readathon as a romance. It was not fun. This one was about a waitress who is trying to pay off all of her bills because her ex-husband is like getting alimony out of her or something. And so she, as a teacher, she doesn't work obviously during the summer, so she's a waitress. And so this billionaire guy is like, I need a girlfriend to get my parents off my back so they can finally sign me over to be the president of the company, whatever that is. And so he sees her and he's like, will you be my girlfriend? And suddenly she's like, okay. Well, I mean, she thinks about it first. It's okay. And then they're suddenly fake engaged. And then they go away to this wedding and she has to pretend to be his fiance at the wedding. And then they actually have feelings for each other. And that's all it's the fake dating trope, but not done well, in my opinion. I didn't like how it was done. I felt like it was way too fast. And another thing is that I love reading the fake dating trope if it's done right. And the other thing is that I love reading romances that are like clean and all those things, and it was a clean romance. It was that kind of thing if you're interested in those, which is great to know. But at the same time, it said it was a clean Christian romance, and it said Christian. Now the problem for me is that I read Christian books and I read non-Christian books. which is great. I don't mind if it's a non-Christian romance. I don't mind. The problem comes though when it says it's a Christian romance and then you have the main character who's a Christian who goes to church on Sundays, but he has no problem lying to his parents about all of this, and he has no problem doing all of the things he did in the book, and at the very end he's like, by the way, do you believe in God? That should have been the conversation at the beginning, buddy. That should be a conversation at the beginning, because your parents should have caught that. I definitely didn't like those elements, so I will not be reading that book ever again. I don't know if I'll read that author ever again either, so we'll see. But yeah, didn't like that one either. So those are all the books that I have talked about in this video, and I will talk about more in my next video, which will be my final December wrap up, so you can have the rest of the books that I've read. I have really enjoyed a good chunk of books, but those are some of the books I had doubters on, so I'm sorry to end on a bad note. But please let me know down below in the comments, maybe what are some of your most hated tropes? Because I've just finished talking about some of my bad tropes that I found in books this month. So please let me know down below, what's some of your tropes that you really don't like reading about, if they're done poorly, shall we say, or some of your favorite tropes, whatever you would like to talk about down below in the comments. I'd love to chat. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, please subscribe. Thank you so much for being on this Vlogmas journey with me, and I will see you in the new year for my regular 2 videos a week. Bye for now.